Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and we're back with The Legend of Vox Machina, Episode 11 Q&A with Critical Role. We have everybody in this picture, that's why I used it. I never used this image. I meant to on the first Q&A, and I figured since I like to break it up a little and have different images up here, I'm going to use this one because everyone in this image is in this Q&A except this guy right here, who I believe was Brian or Brandon. I might be totally wrong, and I apologize. I know his last name is Allman, but I can't remember. I feel like it was a B name. Either way, he's the only one not in it. Gray Griffin is replacing him, and Tal'dorei is also joining this group. But last we saw, we got some art with Delilah. Delilah Briarwood is in this. I was going to point up here, but she's not in this image. Gray Griffin is the voice of Delilah Briarwood. I found out in the last one that she also does the voice of Azula in The Last Airbender, Avatar, The Last Airbender. I reacted to all 3 seasons, books, they call them in that, but 60 episodes, I believe, 20 a book, 3 books, 60 episodes all in full on Patreon. I don't know if I've ever edited one up for YouTube. I don't think I ever did. And it was only a Patreon exclusive. Either way, we got to see some art for her. We got to see some art from the acid room, I call it. And I'm assuming because this is the ziggurat episode, we're going to get some in-depth explanation and art about the ziggurat itself, possibly more to do with Silas. Maybe they'll have art or something to do with the death of Silas or the death of other characters. I don't know. There's a lot they could do. They showed the animation cell in the last one, so that's probably not going to happen again. Usually they have a routine. They do the character art, the animation in episode 1 or the first of the 3 in the Q&A. Then they do world building type art and stuff. And then usually the end is just summing it all up and seeing what's up with next week. But in this case, there is no next week. This is right now next week, and it is Thursday, and there's no Legend of Vox Machina. But let's just jump in. You guys want to see more of what I do, full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, and hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link's at the end. If not, episode 11, The Legend of Vox Machina Q&A. Guys, both kitties are in the room. One is sleeping in this thing right here by my thumb, and the other is about to jump on my chair.
Watched the first episode knowing nothing about this campaign, going, oh, it's dick jokes and drinking and vomiting, and now they're watching this episode and they're like, what the fuck?
That was the goal.
What the fuck?
That was the goal.
Hello.
The jokes and the farting and the boobs to like soften you up before we're like, all right, now here the real fun begins.
She likes to sit behind me on the chair. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, hon. Here, sit on my...
Everybody.
That's not a timeshare. The dicks and the boobs are just like that free microwave.
Yeah.
She's like such a little affection.
Yeah.
Give it a microwave.
Microwaves, golf clubs, titties, you know.
Have you never been scammed by a timeshare before?
Like free soup once.
I've had my experiences with timeshares, let me tell you.
My parents scammed the timeshare places, actually.
They would sit there for the whole 2 hours for that.
My parents didn't make money for a long time, and so they made money by going to timeshare meetings to eat the food, because that's how they could...
I know people that done
Well,
that.
eventually, they began to recognize when they couldn't do it.
That's why I used to do those like...
I'm not kidding. I know lots of people who have done that. They give you like free dinners. They'll give you like gifts and stuff if you sit through the meetings.
Can't you see my mustache? I have not.
I said we let her go.
I say we let her go. That's Pee Wee Herman, right? I say we let... Yeah, that's Pee Wee Herman in the tequila bar or whatever it was.
More watch lists.
There you go.
Matt, I know you and Taliesin were talking about this.
If I just
earlier,
pet her
but
enough,
are
she'll go
there
away.
a few
I mean, I
little
love her to
lores
death,
and
but...
pieces that you'd like to share about the ziggurat that maybe some people who haven't watched Campaign 1 would like to know about? A few factoids without giving too much away.
Sure, not giving too much away. Yeah, the ziggurats, you know, and structures like that were built specifically to be places of worship and powerful magical energy.
face.
There are like unseen ley lines that run across Exandria and places of necessary important worship and ritual.
Sorry
You would
about
find
that.
these
If you love
kind of
cats,
ley
that
line
was for you.
intersections, these nexuses where
I
the
love
power was
cats.
the strongest, and that's often where a lot of elemental and different planar doors would open. That's where the Ashari look over different parts of the world.
The Ashari are interesting. I want to know more about them, like specifics.
In pre-Calamity era. And the ziggurat beneath Whitestone specifically was one that was built to the Knowing Mistress, the Knowing Mentor.
Boom, art.
There it is.
I knew we'd see something.
Of knowledge and, you know, sharing and the spreading of knowledge for the betterment.
That's the shot we saw
on Exandria. And then
I don't know what I have.
collective
Yeah, there.
realm
That was the shot. I literally was like, I don't know how to describe
a lot
it
of what was
with the
essentially
tree.
that space and what would eventually become Tal'dorei. And so this was long buried.
They must have read my goddamn mind, because I literally was like, I don't know how to describe this, and then they did it.
That followed his path of interest. And so a lot of the whole basis of the Briarwoods coming to Whitestone had nothing to do with them really caring about the Durolos or anything. It was all part of them fulfilling the other half of that pact she made with the Whispered One. It was like, yeah, you want your husband? I'll save your husband. But then you got to do this for me. And essentially sending them over to Whitestone to go ahead and uncover all this as part of
The other kitty is going to
this
start
ritual
bothering
that
the other
saw
one. They're
happen
going to go to war.
too early.
A little too early.
Maybe.
Yeah, in the original build, there was.
I'm
definitely-
still
there was a-
curious
there
about
was a
that whole
mention
thing
that
with the
part
Whispered
of the
One. Like,
interrogation for the kids
I'm assuming
was
that's not it for him.
looking for the
Like,
secret thing.
why bring him in? It's got to be
How-
more.
How much do you crawl around? Like, tell us, show us all the secret parts of the castle. We're looking for a thing, and none of us knew what the. That's why they burned through all the kids one after another, is because they were interrogating us to find out if we. Because kids crawl everywhere, so they assumed those were the ones that might know something. And
It
none
just
of
took
us
them
did.
years to find it all.
Yes. And like, yeah, Whitestone's a big mess of like various strange ley lines.
That's
and
interesting. See, I didn't really know all of that.
history of
And if I did,
murder
I
and violence.
Well,
forgot.
that's the Sun Tree originally was there. Was after that whole climactic battle in the Calamity, in which the Dawnfather was part of that construct to try and protect the then wounded, annoying mistress. Planted the seed of the Sun Tree there as a protective element there in that space and a reminder of the battle that took place. And was kind of forgotten for a while post Calamity and after the Divergence. And then when the Durolo family came to that area, they saw the Sun Tree as like a beacon of this is where we should set up our society, this is where we should build our town, and that's where Whitestone began, was there in the Alabaster Sierras around the Sun Tree.
The Alabaster
Fast forward later,
Sierras.
there's
That's a
lovely
good name.
festival Where there's some honey that's being sold and some bears come along.
Weird stuff happens.
Some weird
That's
stuff happens,
interesting.
and,
I'm digging that question.
There's dark times. There's bear times.
there's bear time.
Spectrum.
That's my.
Question for Gray and Matt.
I made
Who
a-
are sitting
I made
next
a
to each other.
wine
We've
seltzer
talked about this
beer.
before and other watch
very
parties,
strong.
but the vocals behind Delilah's necromancy spells are phenomenal. What was the process like in how all those spells were written and recorded? How did you capture the sound of necromancy so well? And also, what was being said backwards? I crave to know.
Well, I mean, whenever it came to any sort of like necromantic spell stuff, because Sam and Travis are the ones that helm the majority and the weight of the creative vision of this project. If they don't get enough love, please give them the love, because we're all working on various projects, but this animated series is genuinely the labor of love that these two gentlemen here.
That's why they're probably on
over the years as
almost
they go
every
on.
Q&A.
And all of us are part of that collaboration, but it's definitively something they've put together. So.
I made it a point to say how they're in almost every
That being
Q&A,
said, when we
and
get
that would
to-
make
when
sense
we,
now.
Get to stuff
I feel like people said that in the
spellcasting
comments.
Words and place names and people names and stuff. We always turn it over to Matt. Matt, I think you provided us like a bunch of text that you wrote somehow. And then we took it and just figured out if it needed to be longer, we would just add a few words. And when we did, we usually would just put in a word backwards to just kind of make it, just fill it out a little bit. So it's a mix, actually. The final spell casting is stuff that Matt wrote, words that Matt said in the campaign, like Entropius and Thala, that kind of stuff. And then also there's a few extra words that are just stuck in there just to kind of, because we needed like, we need 2 more seconds.
Just to break it up. That's
We
interesting.
would hand it to Gray, who
Like they want, I get it.
just
Maybe
slayed it.
drag out the spell a little,
We
make it
made
sound
our
more
own,
epic.
And I think when we recorded, we even said like, if you need more time in this beat, you can repeat a word, you can move words around.
That's
just,
awesome.
Just
I like it, 'cause you make it
your
work.
own, and you did.
Awesome.
I grew up in a Pentecostal household, like Assemblies of God, so we would like speak in tongues all the time. So that really came in handy with this. And it's weird though. It's like just complete opposite side of the coin. It's like and then like But yeah, so I was used to speaking in other made-up languages.
And if we could brag on Gray for a second, there would be
Yeah,
there would
or
be
a minute
takes.
or two.
She would always get more and more intense with each take, and we were like,
I want to know, and there's nothing wrong with anything she's doing.
That was it.
if she's
That
drunk.
was excellent. And she'd go, "Can I?"
It doesn't matter. She's a ball. But I'm wondering if she's just loosened up because she had some drinks, or if this is her like sober.
Let her go.
Only reason I ask is because then drunk, she's got to be a riot.
Folks. I had a lot of steam to blow up.
It's been really cathartic to just start speaking in tongues and bringing up the dead.
I'm a drinker, so I'm not going to judge anybody. I'm just asking. I act crazier when I'm drunk. If you guys have seen a reaction when I'm drunk, I like.
And you never did it in person. Like it was always in your garage, right?
You guys in 2 years.
Yeah. This is the first time I've seen you in front.
I know. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys.
I really enjoy her. I want her to be on more, but this is the last one. I love it.
I'm going out.
Look at Talzin's cool too. Talzin seems the quietest, like as meaning like reserved until he's on. Like then he'll talk.
Silenced, so we didn't really get to hear what he said to Pike while he was silenced.
I gotta get these new headphones, man. These things are beat. I've used these since day one of this channel, 3 years ago.
I respect you. You're a strong, independent woman. And I really am supportive of whatever you want to do.
Kitty's
And
trying
if
to open the
now's
door.
not the right time, that's cool. That's cool.
A lot of yes queens.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I actually am saying something. I don't know. I think.
Travis, would
I
you
think
like
I
to
recorded all of that stuff like
She
this,
almost
but I was
got it.
saying real words, and there's some nasty stuff in there. And then so it's this, but then also they turned it way down and muffled it more in post, so you can't really hear.
It was so awful and also excellent at the same time that there was definitely a debate between whether we make it more clear and easier to understand because it's just so fucked. It's nothing awful, but it was definitely a little of that Kenny from South Park thing.
Yeah. And then that little bit at the end when he's strumming and singing, and then you can finally hear what he says. That had a couple different versions too of like the.
They
last
said that
few words
last
of that
episode where like grog, blah, 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 blah. Similar.
have a small snippet?
I mean, it was just whatever the worst words you can think of, because he was so frustrated.
And you could, because I mean that would be ideal because you could pretty much do all that and not really have it.
And then we,
I mean,
and then we
they even
played
say
back
the
and
bad
like,
words,
well, it's
too.
kind of taking us out of the mood here to hear. So let's just make it the last couple words.
Sorry, I
don't
keep
have to
looking.
be
I just want to make sure the
worst
kitties
cursing
are
you've
all
ever
right.
heard.
It's my
Fair.
babies.
That's fair. For everybody, we got to see a lot of Vox Machina flex a little bit. What is everyone's favorite moment from that awesome fight on the ziggurat?
Oh, I want to hear this. I'm not even going to say mine
The
yet.
cameras were on me, but like I teared up here. I tear up every time, and I have watched it multiple times, but I tear up every time that the music kicks in and Keyleth, like after grabbing the roots, the light starts, pulling into her, and there's like the pass around the ziggurat, and you hear the dun 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 dun, the drums kicking in, and yeah, the whole.
I want to
build
see
up
if they
to
have
Keyleth
an
and
actual
the
reaction
Sun
video of them
I
watch.
just
Like
think
like I do.
it's so-
I would love
so
to
great.
see them react to it. Actually react to it. Why don't they do that? Why don't they have
That
that?
is one of my
I guess
favorites,
'cause then
so I
you'd
will- I just because
not
I-
pay to
I
watch
need
the
it
episode, so
very
that would make
fast, because
sense.
Otherwise, what's the point? Other than going.
I feel like they should make a chop up reaction video like I do for YouTube, just to show the greatest reaction moments.
Skating on the shield and then like throwing it and then like doing the like lightning and just that whole fight with Silas is so much fun.
I like the silencing.
Oh yeah.
Such a
Power move.
Yes.
A lot of people are like, yeah, Delilah, shush, scam.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite of that situation would be, but
It's like one of the meanest.
so much was incorporated into the other things. It's like they were all working together.
What is a magic user supposed to do? Punch?
I know.
Really.
Pedestrian.
I liked when Grog was just unconscious for most of the fight.
It's great.
Just laying there sprawled out.
What you didn't see was that he had little lip flaps and he was going, Sentry, help me. And Sentry was like, nah.
I almost want to go look if he did have lip
Looked
flaps.
over and was like, fuck that. Went over to Keyleth.
I loved the twins fight scenes, just so you get the dichotomy between the big magic users and then just the martial hand-to-hand. Plus, the board team just killed it. I mean, actually getting like the knee blocks, all the hand sparring.
We're using the bow to like tie the hand up. So cool.
The roundhouse kick from Vex. And
Yeah, everything was done well. I'm all about fighting and choreography.
Reactions are so good.
I had no problem with any of it. I love how they all work together and they use each other's moves to assist and stuff.
For all
Great.
the fighting stuff, we're very fortunate on this show. Like a lot of times in animated series, you record your main session, and then at the end of one of these sessions, you do like a Walla library of just like, give me a bunch of hits, give me a bunch of getting hit, and they kind of use that to build the vocals of the animated series, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But in our series, because we're really anal,
It's always fresh and new.
we do that, and then we sort of have a build of a fight sequence with those like library sounds in. But then when it's done and locked, then we go back again and get the actors to actually just chase through the whole fight scene in real time after it's animated.
That's awesome. See,
so that
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Really match up
I
perfectly and
literally had a
exactly
conversation
what
about
you
this
see
the other day.
on screen and stuff. And so
How
it's much more
most shows
nuanced.
have the
Every-
same
every
sounds
fight
all the
scene
time.
in every episode is all unique to that episode.
That is
and we
awesome.
never repeat
Good to
a
know,
single fight
Sam,
scene
you're the
in any
man.
of them, so
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is honestly very cool. I literally talked about this the other day, how if you pay attention, you will hear the same sounds in movies, TV, repetitively over and over. They just recycle everything. That's kind of what he's saying, but they recycle things and then throw in new, fresh stuff. But the recycled stuff is still their stuff. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
You've often talked about the long history you have for Whitestone. So what are some of the Easter eggs that have made it in that we've seen so far? Do not spoil anything.
Oh God, I'm trying to think of things that we have seen so far.
I'm trying to think of things
There
we've
is a
seen
tanning
so far.
salon, it's lovely. That's actually where the eyebrows are.
Percy goes to a tanning salon?
You should see how pale Percy is if he doesn't. Like this is.
I would love if they actually put a tanning salon in
very
Whitestone
easy
for
to animate.
Percy.
I'm actually amazed that they let me.
Amazing.
Just a coat walking by. God, I'm trying. Like we just start to go into the cemetery, and like we just skate around the outer edge of the eastern wall, which has its own whole terrible history. They also, I mean, there are things that you don't even necessarily see in the animated series, but I know they put in there because I kept staring at maps, going, no, right there. The poison garden is back there, but I think we only see it in like one.
One overall.
Yeah,
There's a whole garden of various poison plants and flowers and such that the Dural is kept in the back of the castle.
Yeah.
I don't know if I knew.
Oh my God, I definitely didn't know that.
80 years ago, who was an arranged marriage, planted it and started using it to slowly poison her husband so she could take over the city.
Good for her. Yes. That's
Whoa, what a backstory. How did Sam not even know that? That's a hell of a backstory.
How the third house of Whitestone happened. It was a whole thing with her cousin. And
right.
and Keyleth has helped keep it up, actually, which has been really nice. Is that it's still a poison garden because that's how they make.
How is that a thing that Sam wouldn't even have? Like, I feel like you would have touched on it if Keyleth's running it. Maybe it was just like a side thing. He was on a vacation or something. That's an awesome thing. I wouldn't forget.
You can see from just one, but like, oh God.
That was part of the fun of like, I had an expectation going into this, when we first started going into the series of like, well, you know, we'll go to our team and they'll probably have to change a lot of like scenarios to fit for the world and stuff, and we'll truncate it. And then we met the art team and they were all, for the most part, critters. And they just took the maps and stuff that we had designed for the world initially and just implemented them and made them better. And that's been one of the weirdest things about seeing Whitestone.
Damn, he is super enthusiastic today. He's always enthusiastic, but
pretty much the same layout.
he looks like he's about to fricking get married or something.
And then just brought to even more vibrant life.
And like the beautiful star crest they put on everything, and like the way that they like there's the complex crest and then there's the simplified crest, which is so beautiful, and I love it so much. Everything.
So good.
It is beautiful. Someone should skywrite it.
Matt.
Someone should skywrite it.
Matt,
Look at
speaking
his
of
face.
overthinking,
I just like.
to
I
what
love the way
extent was
he
the sword
acts.
bewitched in the original campaign versus just being manipulated over the course of a few years by the Briarwoods?
It's a combination of the two. You know, Cassandra's definitely, her journey was meant to be a story of, you know, psychological manipulation, Stockholm syndrome, and really another testament to the.
I mean,
to the
Stockholm
desires of the
syndrome, they were
selfishness and depravity,
glamoring her, or whatever you want to call it.
utilizing her as a chess piece to maintain control over Whitestone and keep the populace under control as much as possible, and some of them even under the belief that things will be okay because there is still a Dorolo there. And so for me, I think initially it was likely more about control, and then over time through gaslighting, through manipulation, through, you know, giving and taking away.
I like the song in the background. I don't know what it is.
Comforting, a lot of just terrible manipulation methods, convincing her to believe that this is a better life than the one she had before, and that the Briarwoods were truly her family. And it wasn't until Percy began to show up, and there was that kind of glimmer of the past there, that maybe the control, the kind of the magical control elements began to come back in as a safety, kind of a a special additional blanket. But a lot of it still was the damage that they had laid in her over time. And her overcoming that was a lot of her kind of proving herself as a possible leader in the future. And in some ways,
Damn it, I'm like, I get
a little stronger than her brother.
I get like taken in by Matt's voice, and I'm just like,
I'm glad I got to do this too. That
I'm sorry, I'm not
magic is
talking
there,
so
but it's
much.
just part of the better.
I'm probably talking too
Like
much.
her trauma versus his trauma, and she's way healthier.
She's way healthier.
She's
than Percy
way
is in a lot of
healthier than
ways.
Percy is not a healthy boy.
That's saying
it's
a
not
lot.
very-
Yeah. I mean,
You
they're
think?
both damaged people.
Yeah, they're
Huh?
both real
They're
damage.
both yeah.
She's also meant
She's
to,
a- yeah.
She's also meant to be an example of the fact that a person is.
It
not
is
defined
interesting
by
if you think about the
that it
comparison.
is there, it is present.
They're
you
both
can
using
acknowledge it,
evil to get what
but
they
you take
wanted
steps
as
to
far
look
as
past it and can find strength
revenge.
in the fact that you've overcome that and become a person to show others that there is a better path through that light after the trauma you've endured. And that's kind of where her leadership in Whitestone comes into play, in my mind. Is she's basically now showing, look what I've been through, and I can thrive and grow past this. And with me, we can rebuild the city and we can make it something better. We all acknowledge we've undergone some terrible things.
I mean, I know he's talking about
but there
Cassandra.
is-
I'm
there
all
is a
over the
better life
place.
beyond this if we all work together, and that's kind of the journey I wanted for her after all the Briarwood stuff went down. So.
I really, and I know we're about to get into it, but I really, even with how she ends up finishing.
I apologize when I burp, guys, but I am. I think I've watched like 7 hours of campaign 1 and 2 stuff today.
I love that she does actually get to kind of begin getting away from her trauma versus, Percy, who's now just defining himself as, I am not my trauma anymore, which is just more trauma.
More trauma,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole thing.
Percy, go to therapy.
Once this is over, once the dragons
Percy.
have been dealt with, yeah.
Percy,
Oh, I
go
feel
to
like this might be the end.
therapy.
Once the Cyclops is, yeah.
Well, we are about to. Wait, I'm so wrong.
There's another question. I was gonna say
Surprise question. I forgot about it.
she was about to start, and I'm like, wait, something's up.
You gotta pre-read it?
What's this? What's this?
So, this couch. We have Silas. We have Delilah.
This isn't for us. This is
No.
We can go change.
You guys can leave, actually, if you want to. No, not on stream.
Oh.
Zip it back up. Thank you.
no person.
Silas, Delilah, and Percy. They all can deliver some pretty soul-crushing one-liners. But who among them do you think does it best?
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
Oh.
I am sorry, but I'd have to go with Silas just because I love Matt. I mean, they're both great voices.
To his woman, so.
To his woman.
I had a really bad bully in high school that said the worst thing ever to me. I said, how come you don't like me? And she's like, oh, you're wrong. I don't care about you enough not to like you.
I've heard that one before. Not to myself, but I've heard it
That is
in life and movies and TV.
That traveled through time. didn't it?
Across time.
She ended up kind of going viral, though, because she was in this Sizzler commercial where she was
That was literally in a movie I just saw the other
like,
day.
licking his face, and she became like
Something not exactly, but very similar to what she just said.
I love that for you.
Sometimes that's nice.
Oh,
It was like a Sizzler, like industrial commercial. Anyway.
I really hope everybody goes and finds that and gifts it and sends it to everybody
She's the one
tonight.
that goes,
Phenomenal.
Please don't harass this.
Don't actually do that. I'm kidding.
Google nothing.
Google nothing.
But she very, so yeah, I don't know. I drew a little bit of a Delilah from that.
No,
Just that cool, calm, and collected. I don't have to do anything. I
That's
just
very accurate.
hold.
I love it.
I mean, clearly Percy is one of the bitchiest characters I've ever created. It's just,
One of the bitchiest characters.
but yeah, by far. I feel like Percy is the one-liner.
My favorite line of Percy's is, "Your secret is safe with my indifference."
I was so. I mean,
Your soul is forfeit. I mean, that was a pretty epic line.
How bored I was listening to you talk that I could sit there and
Yes.
come up with that line. Thank you.
I was in the middle of my droning
Taliesin,
line. That's
I mean,
the
Liam
line.
has his moments. Taliesin, they're like more dramatic. Sam's just like a jokester. He's got great lines, but they're usually dirty. and I love it.
I know what I'm going to say now, so let's just think about a shopping trip. Okay.
Well, I feel like I know that you guys have made your cases here, but we could actually have a one-line.
I knew it.
Line-off.
I was gonna say in the beginning, I hope
Makes
she
sense.
talks him into
Like,
saying it
so
in
do
the
Do
voice.
we have like some teacups that we can give everybody?
This is a
Yeah. No, this is a thing that's happening.
Yes,
No,
I
this
love
is
it.
a thing.
I was praying. Well, no, I wasn't praying, but I was hoping.
Has their teacups?
Literally, as soon as she said one-liners, I'm like, we're gonna have a one-liner off.
Do we have some dramatic music
some
that we can cue? Can I do that? Is that rude?
happening right
Can I snap?
Oh, it's actual
Is that
tea.
rude?
Is it?
Is it
Cool.
rude? Can I snap?
So, let's start off with Silas.
Start with me. Oh goodness.
We're doing a line off? Okay, who's the judge?
All
I'm
of
the
us.
judge.
Great.
Okay.
Percival Durolo, sweet young boy. It's a shame you lack the strength to fight a better hair color than the substance your father made you with.
Let's get his finger.
Ooh.
God, I even have I mean, I'll hold my retort for that. Carry on.
Percival, I know you love your hair blue, but I prefer you covered in red.
Wow, come on.
All right.
Life needs things to live.
Sam, you've ruined everything.
I think you mean the hair color you think you have. Delilah's been so gentle not telling you what it actually looks like. My God.
Wow.
Oh,
Check a mirror, why don't you? Oh, that's right, you can't.
That was a two-part.
Oh, I shouldn't have laughed so hard at that.
No, that's fair.
All right. Well, this has been.
the beginning started off a little rough on Talzin's
okay.
end, but
all right.
I feel like he came through in the end.
And Delilah. It's just worth pointing out that you became obsessed with a 400-year-old disgusting corpse with a blindfold, and he still ghosted you. My God. That's what I got.
Damn.
I heard you were the-
That's
I
a
heard you were the
deep
light
cut.
party
That's the
over
whispered one with the
Yeah.
blindfold.
Oh, sorry, Taliesin, you almost won. And Greg came in with the killer. Oh no.
See,
Oh,
now they know
no.
why I married you.
Why did
Matt just gave in.
Oh, well.
Matt just gave it. Yeah, Matt just like,
That's why Silas is the hype man.
This is like, that's my woman.
hey, I'm down. You can give it to Gray. Give it to Gray. I'm not saying she didn't earn it, but that's a bow out. Well, that's it for episode 11, guys. I've got to assume that either Gray Griffin is a genius or she has been saving that for a while, because that was epically perfect. Like the way Talzin came at her with the 400-year-old dying person with a blindfold. It was the whispering. Oh, I said the withering one in the episode. It's the whispered one. I said the withered one. The whispered one is who he was talking about. And then before I could even collect myself, she comes back with, "You're the life of the party at family gatherings," because they're all frigging dead. That is a great immediate jab. She barely even thought about it. If that was off the cuff, props to her. And Matt Mercer just is like, you got it. That is why I'm the hype man and you're my wife. And he just bows out. And I wouldn't have wanted it any different, probably, because Gray Griffin's the guest. She's a gem. I like everything about her. I just want to know, how drunk is she? Like I said, it's not important, but I'm wondering if alcohol has a factor in her non-filter talk, or if she's just like this normally. Only reason I ask is because then if she is drinking, I only expect her to get more crazy and wild, and I love that kind of stuff. So I'm all about Gray Griffin. As far as this episode, though, we did see the ziggurat. They did show the art, but they didn't really show comparisons like they normally do. They just showed what it was, and that's where they went with it. And then they showed it with the sun tree around it and everything. Very cool. They explained things about it. They explained the battle. They talked about their favorite moments. But I gotta say, my favorite thing was at the end when they did the one-liner contest, whatever you call it, the one-liner off. As soon as Mika said, "Who do you think has a better one-liner?" I was about to say, I pray that she makes them do it in character. But I didn't want to talk over them because I already probably do that way more than I should. So I was going to let them go with the flow. But then they basically said who they thought would be the better ones, whose lines they thought were better, and then they let them do it. And I gotta say, off the cuff, if that was natural, I mean, I got to assume, even if she was holding it in her pocket, which I don't know for sure if she was, but even if she was, either way, she's a gem. I love her. I love Grey Griffin. I want to jump into the last one, guys, because this one is already over 30 minutes. We get the gist of what happened, but I want to know what is going to happen in the final episode, what they talk about, if they tap into what is going to come in season 2, and I want to see if they talk about what the heck that mocap suit they were wearing in the beginning was, because there was a whole little intro with Grog and Scanlan, and I want to know more. You guys want to be way ahead, full on edited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, and hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link is in front of me. If not, comments down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.